Mercy stood at the edge of the grand staircase, suitcase in hand, her fingers trembling as they clutched the handle. The dawn's pale light sliced through the window panes of the luxury villa, casting long shadows across the marble floor. Her heart pounded like a drum in her chest, but her face was still, eerily calm. Daniel was still asleep upstairs, unaware that the woman he claimed to love was finally breaking free. She'd written a letter. Not for him. For herself. Proof that this wasn't madness. It was survival. The silence in the house was deafening, but it was the kind Mercy had longed for. No shouting, no accusations disguised as concern, no questioning of her memory or motives. Just her breath, steadying in the quiet. As she stepped outside, the cold morning bit into her skin, but it felt like rebirth. She didn't look back. Not even once. If she did, she might not have had the strength to leave again. And she knew, if she didn't leave now, she'd never get another chance. The news broke within hours. Heiress Mercy Laban leaves billionaire husband without warning. Paparazzi swarmed the estate gates, their lenses hungry for a glimpse of scandal. On social media, the public took sides. To outsiders, Daniel was the perfect husband. Handsome, charitable, charming. Mercy, on the other hand, was painted as unstable, ungrateful, or worse. No one could understand why any woman would walk away from that kind of life. Daniel played the victim well. He issued a carefully worded statement asking for privacy during this painful time. He looked genuinely broken on camera, voice cracking, eyes glassy with emotion. And why not? He had practiced this performance all his life, smiling while hiding the knives behind his back. Everyone bought the act. Everyone but Mercy. Because only she knew the truth he buried in the basement of their marriage. Their wedding photos still trended online. Mercy in her lace gown, Daniel holding her waist like he'd found treasure. But no one saw the subtle pressure of his grip, the whispered command to smile wider, to stop crying. Mercy had convinced herself he was just nervous. Every time he snapped at her. He later returned with flowers and apologies, blaming stress or business deals. The first few months were beautiful, until the masks started slipping. She remembered the day she laughed too loudly at a party. The way Daniel's hand tightened around her elbow later. His voice low and sharp in the car. "You made a fool of yourself and of me." That night, she cried herself to sleep beside a man who kissed her forehead but hadn't heard her soul shatter. That became the pattern. Abuse hidden behind affection. Silence enforced by fake smiles. And Mercy. She was slowly forgetting who she was. Mercy once tried to talk to her best friend Anita about Daniel's outbursts. But before she could finish, Anita cut her off, laughing. "Girl, you married a king. Every man nags sometimes." Mercy smiled and nodded, burying the truth deeper. The problem wasn't just Daniel. It was that no one believed what happened when the curtains were closed. Red flags flew everywhere, but they looked like rose petals in the luxury of Daniel's world. Daniel never hit her, no, he was too smart for that. He'd cut her with words, freeze her with silence, twist her thoughts until she doubted herself. "You're too sensitive," he'd say. "You're lucky I'm patient." Slowly, Mercy stopped arguing. She stopped talking. And eventually she stopped feeling. The red flags weren't just ignored. They were ironed flat and hung like decorations in their home. The first time Mercy found herself whispering to the mirror, she laughed nervously. "Are you losing it?" she asked her reflection. But it wasn't madness. It was the only safe conversation she could have. Her voice trembled at first, barely audible. Then louder, firmer. She began saying out loud the things Daniel never let her finish. "I'm not overreacting. I'm not crazy. I'm not wrong." She started talking to herself every night after Daniel fell asleep. Just small truths. How she felt, what he said, what she wanted to scream but couldn't. Each whisper was a rebellion, a piece of her clawing its way back. Mercy didn't know it then, but those midnight murmurs were the beginning of her escape. Even if no one else heard her, at least she was finally listening to herself. Daniel had perfected the art of psychological warfare. When Mercy confronted him about reading her private messages, he gaslit her with a chilling smile. "Why would I do that? Are you hiding something?" When she caught him in lies, he twisted the blame until she apologized. He'd say things like, "You know how emotional you get," or "You're remembering it wrong." And every time she second-guessed her reality. Over time, Mercy started journaling in a hidden notebook. She wrote down everything: conversations, feelings, the way Daniel's tone shifted. It was her proof, her way of holding on to truth. Because in Daniel's world, facts were fluid, and perception was poison. She needed something real, something that couldn't be twisted. Her sanity depended on it. One night, Daniel found the journal. He didn't say a word, just placed it on the kitchen counter, opened to a page she'd written about wanting to leave. "So, you're planning to destroy me?" he asked with a laugh that held no humor. That night, Mercy locked the bathroom door and cried until her ribs ached. She'd underestimated how far he'd go to maintain control. But that incident made her stronger. If he had read her thoughts and still chose intimidation over change, then it confirmed what she'd feared. He didn't care. He never had. Mercy began leaving small notes to herself in lipstick on the bathroom mirror. "You are real. Your pain is valid. You deserve peace." The voice inside her was no longer just whispering. It was screaming to be heard. Then came the breaking point. Mercy discovered the affair not through rumors, but through instinct. Daniel's coldness had turned to absence. Late nights, mysterious trips, strange scents on his collar. She followed him once, heart racing, and saw him laughing with a woman at a restaurant he said he hated. Her world tilted. He was cheating. And yet, he had the audacity to accuse her of betrayal. When she confronted him, Daniel smirked. "So what if I was? You drove me to it." He blamed her for his infidelity, saying she had become boring, distant, ungrateful. It was the final slap. Mercy didn't cry. She didn't argue. She just stared at him and realized this man would never love her the way she needed. His love was a leash, and she was done being a pet. Mercy's mother, Mama Neka, visited unexpectedly one evening. She saw the shadows under her daughter's eyes, the fear behind her smile. "Tell me what's wrong, Mercy," she begged. But Mercy stayed silent. She was afraid. Afraid of not being believed. Afraid of what Daniel might do if she spoke. But Mama Neka saw through the silence. "This house is too quiet. That's not peace, it's oppression." That night, Mama Neka held her daughter and said, "God didn't make you to shrink." Mercy broke down. For the first time, she told someone everything. Her mother didn't interrupt, didn't deny, didn't blame. She just listened. And in that moment, Mercy realized the power of being heard. Her voice was not too loud. It was just buried. But now it was coming back to life. A week later, Daniel snapped. Mercy had started making quiet plans to leave, moving money, contacting a lawyer. He found out. His rage was volcanic. He slammed her phone against the wall, cornered her in the hallway, and screamed inches from her face. "You will not leave me. You think you can survive without me." For the first time, Mercy didn't flinch. She looked him in the eye and whispered, "Watch me." That night she didn't sleep. She packed one small bag. She waited until his breathing slowed and his snores returned. Then she crept out, not with fear but with a fire in her chest. She wasn't escaping. She was rising. Mercy went to Anita's house. Not to explain but to rest. Anita, now seeing the truth, wept as she read the journal Mercy brought with her. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she whispered. Mercy smiled sadly. Because I didn't think you'd believe me. Anita hugged her tighter than ever, vowing to help. Together, they began building Mercy's case. Photos, screenshots, voice recordings, witness accounts. Mercy had everything. She just needed the courage to go public. Anita called a lawyer. Mercy called her soul back from the grave. She was ready to fight. Daniel's world collapsed the day Mercy's lawyer served him. His calm exterior cracked. He called her over 30 times, sent flowers, begged on voicemail. "I can change. Please. Just talk to me." But Mercy didn't reply. Silence was now her sword. And with it, she carved her way out of the prison he built. People were shocked. The media hounded her, friends betrayed her. But some people believed. Quietly at first. Then louder. Women messaged her, thanking her for speaking up. Mercy didn't respond to them all, but she read every word. For once, her pain had purpose. Daniel's reputation began to unravel. Journalists dug deeper. An ex-girlfriend came forward. Then another. Their stories echoed Mercy's. The world began to see through his mask. Daniel retaliated with a press conference, but his charm had dulled. His lies now smelled rotten. Mercy didn't watch the conference. She was too busy attending therapy, signing a book deal, and holding support group meetings for survivors. She had stopped looking back. Her eyes were on the path ahead, lit by truth lined with healing. Her journal was published in excerpts online, each entry raw and searing. The world finally heard her story, in her own words. Some people attacked her, but many more defended her. They saw the woman behind the whispers, the warrior behind the wounds. One entry went viral. "If he had just listened to me, I might have stayed. But I will never beg to be heard again." That sentence became a rallying cry. Mercy had found her voice, and it was louder than ever. Daniel sued her for defamation. Backfired. The court allowed Mercy's journal as evidence. She stood, head held high, and read the most painful entries aloud. The courtroom was silent. Even the judge seemed shaken. Daniel's lawyer tried to object. The judge waved him off. In the end, Daniel lost, both the case and the illusion of innocence. He walked out of court a broken man. Mercy walked out a whole woman. Justice hadn't just been served. It had been shouted. Of course, not everyone believed her. Trolls flooded her inbox. Strangers called her bitter, dramatic, manipulative. But Mercy had already been through worse. She didn't owe anyone perfection. She owed herself peace. And every time she doubted, she returned to the mirror and remembered the whispers. This time her reflection smiled back. "You're free now," it said. And Mercy believed it. More women came forward. Some were strangers. Some were friends she never knew were suffering too. Together they created a platform, Voices Unmuted. It grew into a movement. Survivors, therapists, activists, all joined hands. They weren't just surviving. They were rebuilding. Mercy became a leader not because she wanted fame, but because her truth had power. And now, she was using it to protect others from silence. One night, Daniel posted a video. He looked disheveled. For the first time, he admitted it all. "I never listened," he said, voice breaking. "I hurt the one person who truly loved me. And I'm sorry." Some thought it was an act. Others said it was redemption. Mercy didn't watch it. But later she read a comment on the video. If only he listened sooner. She closed the screen and walked outside. The stars were out. And she smiled. Mercy opened a center for abused women. She named it Neka's Haven, in honor of her mother. It offered shelter, therapy, and job training. It was more than a building. It was a sanctuary. A place where silence was broken and voices were celebrated. Every time a woman walked in trembling and walked out standing tall, Mercy felt her scars fade a little more. Her pain had purpose. Her journey had meaning. At a women's conference, Mercy took the stage. Her speech was simple. No drama. Just truth. I don't hate Daniel. I hate silence. Hate fear. And I hate the lie that luxury means love. Listen to the women in your life. Hear them when they whisper, so they don't have to scream. The crowd rose to their feet. Not because she was a celebrity, but because she was real. The girl who once whispered to the mirror now roared for the world. And in her voice, many found their own. To see how